teacher. My name is Shilpa Chhatravan, as you know. And here we are back with our topic towards green energy. So today it is the concluding lecture of this topic. So just go through the contents of today's lecture. So what are the contents of today's lecture? That are uses of various energy sources that we are going to study. And we will study the generation of electrical energy using wind energy. And then after we will study about the generation of electrical energy using solar energy. So we will just have an overlook on our topics which we have studied up till now. So just have a revision. Whatever we have studied up till now, we will just revise it in a couple of minutes. First, we studied about energy in our first lecture. Then in that lecture only we studied about energy and uses of energy. Then we have also seen various energy sources, and we have also studied the electromagnetic induction, which was stated by Michael Faraday. Then we have seen that working of turbine and generator, how they both work, that also we have studied. Then we have seen the generation of electrical energy using thermal power plant. In thermal power plant, how the electrical energy is generated, that also we have seen. Then we have seen about the nuclear energy, nuclear energy based power plant, that also we have seen. Then we have seen about natural gas, how natural gas is used to generate the energy. Then in the natural gas we have also seen flow chart of natural gas, and how the power is generated there. Then we have seen about the transformation of energy in natural gas power plant. Then we have also seen the schematic diagram of natural gas power plant. We have also seen the drawbacks of conventional energy sources. And then we have seen how to use the non-conventional energy sources and how they are good to our nature and our environment. So we have seen the topic about towards green energy sources, that are non-conventional energy sources. Then we have seen electricity generation using water reservoir. The first non-conventional energy source we have seen before, that is hydroelectric energy. Then we have seen the different stages in hydroelectric power plant. After that, we have seen the advantages and disadvantages which were associated with hydroelectric power plant. And then lastly, we saw the major hydroelectric power plants situated in India. So today we will study a new topic, and that is wind energy. So students, look the picture here. What you are observing here, there are big fans which are rotating. Now why are they arranged here like this? This question may be coming in your mind. So these big fans that are called as wind turbines. Why are they called wind turbines? Because the machine which converts kinetic energy of wind into electrical energy is called a wind turbine. So the wind turbine, what it does, it converts the kinetic energy of wind into electrical energy. So that turbine is called as wind turbine. So how does the kinetic energy of wind convert into electrical energy? So just see the picture. Let's see. The fast moving wind strikes the blades of the turbine. Here in this picture, you will come to see that there is a fast moving wind, and that wind moves the blades of the wind turbine. And the wind, after striking the blades of the turbine, the blades rotate. So due to the wind, the blades rotate, and the blades move when the wind is fast. Otherwise, it doesn't move. So the blades need fast wind to rotate. So the blades which are in the wind turbine, they are slightly means their weight is much low, and they need a fast wind to rotate themselves. So fast wind only can rotate them, otherwise they will stop the rotation. So let's see how the wind turbine works. Now let's have a look to this picture. So in this picture, you see some names here. There are some names, that is a gearbox, a generator, an axle. These are shown in this picture. So what are they? Let's see what happens. When a high speed air strikes the blades rotate. The blades are joined to a shaft. The blades are joined to a shaft, means they are joined to a shaft, and this shaft is joined to the gearbox. Now you see in the picture there is a gearbox. What does this gearbox do? The gearbox is joined to the generator, and what happens then? When the blades rotate, if they are directly connected to the generator, it cannot produce electricity as the blade speed is less. So if the blades have the speed, if the speed is less, then what happens? The electricity is not produced. So the generator needs more speed. The generator can't rotate without a speed which is more. So the gearbox connected to the blade does the work of increasing the rotations. So the gearbox, what does the gearbox do? It increases the rotations, and thus it drives the generator to generate electricity. So the gearbox does more work for the generator. So you see here all the blades of the turbine drive the turbine, and the turbine drives the generator to generate electricity. Now in this way, the electricity is produced and is transferred through the tower to required storage, and it is sent to the power grid to supply electricity. So let's see the stages in the wind energy generation. Here, what happens? Observe the flow chart given with the required velocity is here the wind with required velocity is required, and it moves the large fins of the wind turbine, and then the turbine, what it does, it generates the generator, and the generator, what it does, it generates the electrical energy, and thus is the electrical energy produced. So let's see the energy transformation below. The kinetic energy in the wind, what happens to that kinetic energy? The kinetic energy in wind, it converts into kinetic energy in turbine. And the turbine, thus it generates electric energy. So let's have a look on the power stations which are situated in India. So in Tamil Nadu, it is with the capacity of 1500 megawatt and is present in Mupandal. So the second power plant of wind energy is present in Jaisalmer, and the capacity of it is 1064 megawatt. Now, after taking this information, let's move further. So as you see in this picture or in this figure, you see some small windmills and some big windmills. Are you looking it? So there is a small windmill of, it is labeled as home. There is a second windmill that is labeled with wind farm, and the third windmill, it is labeled as offshore wind turbine. So why are they different heights and of different capacities? The home turbine, its blade length is 1.5 meters and its capacity is 2 kilowatt. The capacity of wind farm, that is the blade length is 50 meters and the capacity is 2000 kilowatt. And the capacity of offshore wind turbine, what is it? The blade length is 100 meters and the capacity is 6000 to 7000 kilowatt. So this why they are different in size, shape and height? Because you see some they differ from their heights as well as their capacity. Wind turbines with capacity right from less than 1 kilowatt to about 7000 kilowatt are commercially available. So why they are different? This depends on the wind velocity available at the site of installation, where it is going to be installed. That capability is seen, and that type of wind velocity wind turbine is installed there, and then wind turbine with specific capacity is selected there to install it. So the wind velocity is not equal. It differs from place to place. So the wind velocity at specific location depends on many geographical factors. As the wind is not same everywhere, the wind energy power stations cannot be established everywhere. So we can't establish the wind energy power plants in every place. Where there is a wind, more wind is there only we can install them. So as the as the wind velocity is necessary for wind energy generation, it is not possible to install, and it is not available everywhere. So where are they situated, or where are they installed? They are installed where the wind velocity is usually high, and that wind velocity is high near the seashore, and that environment is appropriate for the installation of wind turbine. So the wind turbines that are seen, you can see where there are seashores, the wind turbines are installed there only, because the speed of wind is high and the wind turbine needs that high speed. So they are installed there only. So the speed, what type of speed is required? the speed required for the working of windmill is 14 to 16 kilometer per hour. Now this speed is satisfactory for the working of this type of power plant. After studying the wind energy, let's see the next and last non-conventional energy source, that is solar energy. So we have started this solar energy. The wind energy is also a non-conventional energy, and it can be done where there is a high speed, so it has limitations. That is the drawback of that wind energy. So we can't install the wind energy power plants everywhere, but it can be installed where there is a high wind velocity. So just move on to the next non-conventional or a renewable source, that is solar energy. The solar energy, what does it mean? Solar means sun. That is solar energy. In solar energy, the energy present in the sunlight is used, and that energy is called as solar energy. So in solar energy, what happens? We use the energy which is in the sunlight, and we generate electricity. So the power of the sun is used here. So therefore, it is called as solar energy. Now, say solar energy is used to generate electricity, but there are two ways, or there are two methods to generate electricity with the help of solar energy. So let's see the first method here. To generate electrical energy directly from solar radiations without using a generator and without using the principle of electromagnetic induction. So in this type, what happens? The electrical energy is directly generated, means it doesn't require any generator, or it doesn't require any principle of electromagnetic induction. That means no need of generator and turbine is there in this method. Before the methods we have seen earlier, all the methods they require generator and turbine to generate the electricity, but in solar there are two types. The first type, it doesn't require any kind of generator or any kind of turbine. So let's see the second method. The second method involves the generator, the turbine in which the solar radiations are converted into thermal energy and then driven by the turbine, and electricity is generated. And what happens in the second method? First, the solar energy is converted into thermal energy, and then the thermal energy, it drives the turbine and generator, and the generator generates the electricity. Means there are two types. First one is without generator and without turbine, and the second one is with the help of uh, turbine and generator. So two methods are here. Now let's see the first method. Now in the first method, it does not require any turbine, we have seen, and generator is also not required. So what happens in this? We will see solar photovoltaic cells convert the solar radiation energy directly into electrical energy, and this conversion is called the solar photovoltaic effect. Now these cells, they directly convert sunlight into electricity. What happens in this? See, the sun rays, they are falling on the solar cells, solar photovoltaic cells, and these photovoltaic cells, they are joined to a bulb. So when the sunlight falls on the solar photovoltaic cells, what happens? The current is directly passed to the bulb, and the bulb lights. So this effect of sun is called as solar photovoltaic effect. So in this, what happens? Directly current is produced here. So the DC nature of energy transformation takes place in this type of energy transformation. So the current produced by this method is DC in nature. DC means direct current. There are two types of currents. There are two types. One is DC and the second one is AC. AC means it is alternative current. So our appliances which we use daily, they all use the AC current. Alternative current is used by the appliances. So the current produced in this type is of DC nature. So they produce direct current in this process. So now let's see from what these cells are made, how they produce direct electricity. So what is the reason behind that? So these cells are made of solar cells. These cells are made of special type of material. That material is called as semiconductor, or it is made up of silicon. Silicon, it is a semiconductor. You have learned about good conductor, bad conductor, and semiconductor in your previous classes. So we will not discuss about that. So let's move further. You only remember that the solar cells, they are made up of semiconductor or silicon. So a silicon solar cell of dimension 1 centimeter square generates current of about 30 milliampere. So what happens when a silicon cell of 1 centimeter, what it generates? It generates current of 30 milliampere, that is 0.03 ampere, and the potential difference between them is 0.5 volts. So thus, a silicon solar cell of dimension 100 centimeter square will generate about how much energy? The current is produced, that is 30 milliampere per centimeter square. If it is of 100 centimeters, we will multiply it by 100. Then what happens? It is equal to 30 into 100, that is 3000 milliampere. That is equal to 3 ampere. But the potential difference is equal to 0.5 volts. So what happens when 100 centimeters solar cell is used? The amperes are increased here, and potential difference is same. So in this figure, photovoltaic effect is shown, how the DC power is generated. The energy of sunlight is converted into electricity, and DC power is produced, and you will easily see and understand by this figure. So what happens? In our previous classes, we have seen the resistance of cells. Resistors we have seen. They are in series and parallel combinations that we have studied in our early classes. that when we saw that when the cells are arranged in series combination, the total potential difference across the combination is equal to the sum, means addition of the potential difference across the individual registers. Now what happens when the two registers are joined in series? What happens? The we add their potential difference, means if consider that the first register it is called as V1 and the second register it is called as V2. When the total potential difference here, it will be calculated by adding both of them, means V1 plus V2 is added. Then we get the combination of the register. Total potential difference is obtained by us. In the series combination, this happens. And the current which is flowing through the circuit, means the current which is flowing from the circuit, that is equal to the current flowing through the each register. Means current from each register is if we denote it as I, then it is equal to I1 for the first register and I2 for the second register. Means the current is equal to both of them. So this principle is also used in solar cells. So the same thing we will see here. If the one cell of means the solar photovoltaic cell, first cell is cell 1 and second one is cell 2. If both are joined in a series, what happens here? Also what happens, the potential difference obtained from this combination, if we see that potential difference will be denoted as V total. So what happens, the potential difference of cell 1 is added to potential difference of cell 2. Then both the potentials will be added and that potential difference is considered. And the current which is passed, that is same, that is I1 is equal to I2. The same thing of the resistors is been continued in this series also. So the series combination is same as that of the registers. Same principle is taken here. So we have also seen about the resistors in parallel. In parallel combination, what happens? The total current means I means I1 and I2 that are added here. Some of the separate currents through each resistor. Each resistor carries some current, so that it is added and then it is taken as total. But here potential difference across the combination of resistor is equal to the potential difference across each resistor. Here two resistors are there, one R1 and here R2. So here current is added here, but potential difference is same here. That's the same case in parallel solar cells also. When the cell 1 and cell 2 they are combined in a parallel combination, the current is added here, means I1 is added to I2 and the potential difference is same. But if two solar cells are connected in parallel, the potential difference from the two cells is not added. Though इसमें is means in this potential difference from the two cells is not added here. So the equation becomes like I total, means current total is equal to I1 plus I2 and the potential difference obtained is what is V total is equal to V1 is equal to V2, means here potential difference is same and current is added here. In the series, what happens? In the series, it was opposite. In the series, the potential difference was added and current was same. So this helps to increase the strength of the solar cells. So there are, because of this series and parallel combinations, different connections are required, and different connections for required current and potential are added there. So different connections for generating the required current and potential difference, they get added, and we get the desired amount of energy what we want there. So for example, if we arrange 36 cells in combination, the total potential difference across this combination will be 0.5. We have seen that the potential difference was 0.5, and one cell means 30, we added only one cell there, but here there are 36 cells. So when we multiply 0.5 into 36, we get what? We get 18 volts potential difference we will get. And here the current from the individual cell is not added in series combination, so the current generated from this combination is I is equal to 3 ampere. So current is 3 ampere. So talking about the efficiency, it is said that 15% efficiency is considered as good efficiency of generating power. So a solar cell gives 15 volts of power by solar panel receiving power of 100 watts. So to generate more power, more solar cells are connected in series and in parallel to generate the required current and potential difference. So in solar electric power plant, solar cell is the basic unit. So we will see the structures here. When we see a solar cell, it is a single solar cell. When it is arranged in series, it is called as solar panel. So when the solar panels are arranged in series, they are said to be a solar string. And when the solar string is arranged parallel, it is called as solar array. So solar cells are used in applications which require DC power. For the example here, you see solar lamp, solar battery, charger. They use the solar power. So solar calculator is also an example. So mobile charging can also be done, and it is used as a DC power, and it needs a DC power in it. So DC power is also used in light emitting diodes which work on DC power like street light. But sun, we can use this principle for light emitting diodes. But sun is present in daytime and we require light in night time. So how will we use that? Therefore, this solar energy is stored in a battery. We can store this energy in a battery and is used whenever we require. So, but most of the equipments that we use run on AC power, means alternative current. Then how can we use the solar energy? So let's see, when the energy is stored in the battery, the inverter is connected to it, and the DC power is converted in AC, and it is used. So the inverter is used here. This inverter, it makes sure that the DC power is converted into AC power. So see how the solar energy is stored. The solar cell, which solar energy is there in the solar cell, it is stored in the battery. Then the battery, what it does, the battery um, gives that solar energy to the inverter, that is DC power to the inverter, and the inverter, what it does, it gives the DC power, it is converts DC power into AC power, and this AC power can be used in the electrical equipments which work on AC power. So the DC power generated from this solar panel is first converted into AC power. So this transforms the voltages and current levels of the generated power. So this process of electricity generation does not involve fuel combustion, means no coal, no natural gas, no nuclear energy, uh, any type of conventional sources are not here. So air pollution is zero here, no risk of air pollution. So, but the drawback of this type of power generation is that the electricity can be generated during daytime only. So, but there is a solution for that. We can store in the battery and then use the desired energy for the required equipment. So let's see the major capacity solar thermal power plants situated in India. In Tamil Nadu, in Kamuthi, the solar energy is prepared here. The electricity is generated there. It is of 648 megawatt. In Maharashtra, at the place Dhure, electricity of solar energy is prepared here or generated, that is 125 megawatt. So do you know that thermal energy can also be generated from solar radiations and can be used for electricity production? So this is the new concept, you don't know. We have seen large plants, power plants before. So electricity can also be generated through solar energy. So how does this take place? Look in the figure, the concentrators collect the sunlight, and then the absorbers, after absorbing the sunlight, the concentrated sunlight converts into steam, and the steam, it drives the turbine, and while the turbine drives, the electric energy is generated, and thus is electricity produced. So look at in the figure, there is a absorber, reflector, and absorber carrying water. So what is this? When the sunlight, see in this picture, when the sunlight reaches the reflector reflects the sunlight or radiations, that radiations of sun. And that absorbed by the absorber carrying water. So the water becomes hot, and the steam is formed here. See, these are the absorbers here, blue lines that are absorbers, and these orange or faint chocolate lines that are hot water that is converted into steam. Then it is transferred to the turbine here. Thus the created steam that drives the turbine here. And that turbine, then it generates the generator, and the generator here produces electricity and it is transformed to the power grid. So the leftover, what happens, the steam that goes down and it is condensed, it is cooled down with the help of cooling tower, and it is then reused, and means it is circulated back, recirculated back to the system, and thus this process continues in the solar panel, and in this way the electricity is produced without using any type of fuel combustion here, and thus this process continues, and it doesn't require any type of conventional energy source. So sources used for electrical power in world. So we have finished this solar energy here. Now just have a overlook how world uses the electrical power generation. So in world, coal is used for 41%, and in India we use it for 60%, and world uses natural gas for 22%, and India uses for 8%. Hydroelectric is used in the world for 16%, and in India it is used for 14%. Nuclear energy in the world is used for 10%, and India it is used only for 2%. And petroleum in the world it is for 4%, and in India it is for 0.3%. So renewable sources like wind and solar energy that are in the world, they are used for 6%, and in India it is the more, that is 15.7%. So this this was the end of the lesson here. So I hope that you have understood the topic towards green energy, and in this way we have completed this lesson. So thank you to all the students. Thank you Varsha ma'am, and thank you BMC to give me a chance to teach the students all over the state. So I am very thankful to whole BMC staff and whole BMC educational officers, and BMC Edu channel to giving me a chance to teach online in the state level lecture.